someone named Jennifer Welch. Team, we have not played this yet, right? She is evidently a Bravo person. And for those of you out there, my wife watches some of these. I bet that a large majority of women out there, certainly if I would say, I don't know, I would think this is probably the Bravo housewife shows are probably, Allie, is it fair to say it's like women under 50 is like the wheelhouse, like women 30 to 50 would be like the Bravo perfect Real Housewives audience? And so this is like one of the most popular shows for women out there. And I imagine some of you men have walked through and seen the screaming fights and the crazy town that is involved in these shows on a regular basis. So this reporter, this Bravo star, Jennifer Welch, evidently has a podcast. And this has gone mega viral because she said white Trump voters shouldn't be allowed to eat at Mexican or Chinese restaurants. They should only be able to go to Cracker Barrel. This is real. Cut 24.
I've had it with white people that triple trumped, that have the nerve and the audacity to walk into a Mexican restaurant, a Chinese restaurant, an Indian restaurant, go to perhaps their gay hairdresser. I don't think you should be able to enjoy anything but Cracker Barrel. And if you want to triple Trump, and you want to browbeat DEI, and you want to browbeat gay people, and you want to browbeat black people, as you've been doing for 400 years, and you want to browbeat this generation of immigrants that come over here and open up businesses earnestly, pay their taxes, you want to demonize them and call them rapists and felons and all this when the felon is the teeny weeny mushroom piece of Kenkel's McTaco at the top of the ticket. I have had it from top to bottom. White people that triple Trump should be banned, boycotted from enjoying the best thing that America has to offer, which is multiculturalism. Get your fat asses out of the Mexican restaurant. Get your fat asses over to Cracker Barrel, because nobody wants to see your smug ass, teeny weeny, pink arm, big gut around. Nobody wants to see that. No one.
I mean,
whoa.
Yeah. So, first of all, this is, I think, maybe the base of the Democrat Party now. And you say, okay, what do you mean by base of the Democrat Party? Yes, it's ridiculous. It's outrageous what she said. But liberal white women, if you go look at the 2024 election results, Kamala Harris really only improved on Joe Biden with white women. Think about that for a minute. Every group in America, Kamala Harris lost ground with. Black men, Hispanic men, Asian men, white men, black women, Hispanic women, Asian women. All of them said, I am moving towards Trump in 2024, except for white women. And this woman, I know producer Allie is surrounded by women who may not be necessarily this vulgar, but in New York City, this would be a huge part. Buck, you tried to date some of these chicks when you were a single guy, unfortunately, in New York City. Why are they so angry at the world? I mean, I think it's a really big question, because they are now the foundation of the Democrat Party. They are the people that the Democrat Party bends the knee to, responds to. They liked Kamala more than they liked Joe Biden, the only group in America. And you could hear from her such venom. And by the way, not rational, because if every triple Trump voter suddenly said, I'm not going to eat in Mexican restaurants anymore, do you know who would suffer? A lot of the people that are of Mexican descent, of Hispanic descent, that are working in the restaurants. And so I really do try to put myself in their world. Why are they so angry, Buck? Like, why is that woman in some way representative of the foundation of the Democrat Party right now? Not just disagreeing on policy fronts, but legitimately basing almost her entire take on Trump voters are awful human beings and they shouldn't be a part of civilized society. Why are they so mad? Why are they so angry? I really genuinely can't figure it out.
Oh, boy.
You may have
Now
some
we're
deep
gonna
thoughts
get into
on
the
this because
psychology.
I mean I'm trying to think and put my head into the crazy world they live in, and I have difficulty even understanding why they are so angry.
I think that they have, over a period of time, deeply bought into messaging that is going to inherently make people very, very miserable over the long term. I think that they have the value system they should have has been largely replaced by the leftist stuff that we talk about, the virtue signaling, the race communism, the gender identity nonsense. And over, there are some people whose minds are just more easily molded by the propaganda that's all around us all the time. I mean, there's a whole, you're asking about white women. I mean, I think, and people have gotten mad at me. I've been saying this for 20 years, basically, or whenever the show ended. I forget whenever it ended. But I mean, I think Sex in the City was terrible for women. I think Sex in the City was very bad messaging for a whole and it's really women my age, maybe a little bit older, for a whole generation of women because they watched that show. And I understand it's entertainment. I know it's very cleverly written. I understand, I like jokes too, but the underlying message, just to be clear, oh, it's supposed to be fun. The underlying, look, let's understand something. Even before there was radio and there was television, there's a reason political cartoons were so effective, right? There's a reason that using artistry for political messaging, and you go back to propaganda during warfare and the existence of all these different all these different methods of trying to engage in shaping public perception. And anyway, so that's my roundabout way of saying with Sex in the City, I think that there was a value system that was elevated through that show and other things like it and other currents in the culture. But I'm just picking on that one right now, where it's not about something other than yourself. It's about expensive shoes. It's about pursuing hedonism and self-actualization and all these that actually don't mean anything. And there is a class of white women in America white women who are Democrats in America, to be clear, left-wing Democrats, who have bought into all this stuff and are now at the point in their lives, like this woman, where there's a derangement that has set in where they have to keep believing this stuff, even though observation of the world around them would lead them to think that this is that they have not made good choices. Think about this. Like, how do you grapple with bad life choices? And I don't just mean that in terms of family formation or things, whether you pursued career at the expense of other things. I just mean the way that you've interacted with people and saw yourself vis-a-vis society. How do you go back and say, wow, I believed in stuff that was like trash and worthless? So that's what I think. So you're asking me why these women are so unhappy? That's why I think it's so unhappy. They've been worshiping the golden calf of Sex in the City life, and it's not good. And they turn around, they realize, why am I so miserable? Well, because you didn't put other more important things before your own very kind of mundane and petty desires. Was that too much?
No. I think it's important sometimes, because I'm always asking, am I missing something? Is there an argument? I am willing to be persuaded that I am wrong on anything. If you can provide me an objective data point, I really struggle to understand these women. And I think that clip is so outrageous that it's funny to play. But she's not saying something that there isn't tens of millions of white women in particular out there who believe it. And I spent some time, because obviously this new book that I'm writing is about young men and the world in which they inhabit and how they've come to move so aggressively towards the Republican Party. But I don't hear very many people talk about, hey, Kamala was an awful candidate. One of the worst that's ever, I think, been run by the Democrat Party. And yet white women moved towards her. She, in some way, was able to galvanize white women who showed up in big numbers for Joe Biden to move even more aggressively in favor of Kamala. And that's an important lesson, because we've talked a lot about young men moving and Trump gaining support with Hispanic and Black and Asian voters. And that seems rational to me if you're actually looking at the data. White women seem to have spun off into a whole world where the choices that they're making and the arguments that they are even being willing to embrace is totally nonsensical. And I think it's important to recognize that these people are out there and think about they basically are destroying the Democrat Party because they're the foundation of the Democrat Party. Imagine that you are a Democrat and that woman is leading the charge for your party. How do you make her happy? I think your Sex and the City argument is a good one, Buck. In my book, I argue that if you went back to like 1965 and you told a single man what was the ideal world that you would want to create, feminism in the last 50 years has basically created the ideal world for men. Sex with limited to no work, a disposable culture of relationship where you can constantly just swipe right or whatever it is. And I think these women, to your point, they made all the choices that they think empowered them, and actually they've managed to strip away much of their power, and men are actually more powerful in their world today than men were in 1965. And I think it's a counterintuitive thing. And to your point, what happens? I was talking to one of my buddies the other day. You know him. We went out to dinner, and he's in the middle of a divorce, and he was asking me, he had a financial question, and I was like, boy, this is like not a good situation to be in. And he said, and I give him credit, he's got a great sense of humor. He said, totally deadpan, yeah, I know. For the last 20 years, given a choice between a good financial decision and a bad financial decision, he's like, I picked the bad one. And he's like, this is where you end up when you have good financial decision, bad financial decision, and you pick the bad one. He's funny about it, and he's still young enough where he's going to be okay. But I do think a lot of these women can't reconcile the fact that the reason why they're unhappy is actually because of the world they've created around them. And so I think you're right. I think it's an element they have to lash out and believe that all they have is their moral authority and everyone else is awful but them. And I think in reality, there's the deep toxicity to them, and that actually now characterizes the Democrat Party. So I think the Democrat Party has to kick these chicks to the curb in order to ever be relevant again. And I don't think they can do it because they're the base now.
Yes.
So there is a way to think about that. Like, you think you're in a tough spot. Imagine trying to make that chick happy. Looking for great meat at the supermarket? We've got a better suggestion. Go to goodranchers.com. Get it delivered right to your doorstep. Good Ranchers gets the protein from American ranchers and farmers. No antibiotics, no hormones, no seed oils. Founded by a mom and a dad you would love, Corley and her husband, Ben. They feed all 4 of their kids all of these products, and they are going to take care of your family too. Doesn't matter what you're out and into. If you're a Maha family, you want to make America healthy again, this is the way you do it. Local raised products from inside the good old USA. And right now we got a double fantastic offer for you. When you sign up for a subscription, you get $25 off each month. And when you use my name Clay for your first order, you get an additional $40 off. That's $65 off your initial order. Why not get hooked up today? That is a phenomenal opportunity. $65 discount. Go to goodranchers.com. Use my name Clay. We eat it in the Travis household. We feed our 3 growing boys. Ben and Corley have their 4 young kids that they feed. Comes right to your home. I promise you're going to love the quality, whether you're into steaks, whether you're into chicken, whether you're into bacon, chicken nuggets, salmon, whatever meats you are interested in, they have them for you right now. $65 off when you use my name Clay. That's goodranchers.com. My name Clay. Goodranchers.com. Check them out. My name Clay for $65 off.